they're supposed to be pivoting out of units like Gwen and Viego.
Yeah. That's a good question. I think there's like two ways to play Shadow Isle. I guess we can just go ahead and talk about Shadow Isle to start with. So TFT Academy has this comp with four Shadow Isle. Idol also has this in A tier with five. Um, Here we have this with five, and let me put in Thresh in the. Actually, quite a lot of Shadow Isle comps. They all have five, which
I
is
mean,
pretty interesting.
it's very versatile, but I feel like late game you could probably drop Gwen for say Azir, and if you have Piltover do Loris and Seraphine, so why do you have the Gwen if you have the Azir in at that point?
Yeah,
I feel like
I think
Azir is
it's
better
just
unit.
you kind of do it like based on how much gold you have. About uh one really nice thing about like playing Diego as your quick striker is just like really cheap units. Um,
True.
Yorick Gwen, like they're just really cheap units. It gives you the shout out scaling, but you are right. So basically, if you are able to like get to level 9 with a lot of gold, it is better to just generally play higher quality units. Um, so I think like Piltover is kind of maybe you can play. It kind of depends how good it is. But Piltover is kind of like a team wide trait buff. It also depends how much value of your board in the Shadow Isle. So if we look at this exact board, I see that like two of our main units are Shadow Isle units. So I would think like, let's say we play Piltover instead. So let's say we play instead of Gwen Yorick, we have Seraphine Loris. Keep the
Well,
exact same traits, something like this.
yeah.
Um, like if these are our main carries and Fiddlesticks is one star, I would think this would probably be weaker. But if we have a whole lot of other carries, like let's say we have a 3 item Kindred 2, or 3 item Fiddlesticks 2, then like maybe this is better. It kind of depends what the Piltover is as well.
Yeah. Normally, I also wouldn't really. I guess it depends on if you're playing Kindred or not.
It just
It's
depends who your most important units are also.
yeah.
Because like, let's say, let's say we have
Usually, I
Kindred
want to
2 and no
try and
Callista,
play
right?
like
Then maybe we have a setup like this, then we don't care as much about 5 Shadow Isle, which only buffs the Shadow Isle units.
yeah. Usually, I try to play more towards four wardens when I can. For but I
Yeah,
might
you
be
can kind of like
overvaluing
fit
that.
in whoever. Um, I mean, I would think like if it's like really late game and your Ornn is not going to print any more items, you don't have artifacts you want to put on him. I could even see like a Yorick 2 being better than like an Ornn 2 if you have like a really
Yeah,
if you have like a strong stress Shadow Isle buff.
makes sense.
Do you have any experience with moving items from Callista to Kindred with a lot of souls?
Um, I would think as a default, Kindred 2 would be stronger than Callista 2, but I have not had a chance. I mean, yeah, I haven't seen this comp that much. It's just really hard to get, right? Because you have to have Viego 2 early to unlock Yorick. But I would assume like Kindred 2 is stronger than Callista 2, but I don't actually know. I mean, we could look at data, but I don't think it's going to tell us that much. But let's just say we have. Let's just say we have. Let's just say we have Thresh. We have Thresh, Callista, and Kindred. Let's just say we have Callista 2 and we have Kindred 2. Decent amount of games. So let's say we have like 3 items on Kindred, 0 on Callista, 0.4, and then let's switch it around, right? 0 on Callista and 3 on Kindred, 0.7. So yeah, it does seem like Callista is performing better. But it is there's a lot of like sampling biases that go into these, so I wouldn't look like too much into it. But it does, yeah, it does seem like Callista is performing a decent bit better off of like what we can see here. Yeah, so maybe we're not moving items in that case.
I also think Callista and Kindred typically don't want the same items. You're more likely to move items from a Viego to a Kindred, I guess.
That's true. Yeah, Kendra's a attack speed carry, and Callista is a Vanquisher like caster. Okay. I guess is there anything else we want to talk about with Shadow Isle in particular? Again, like you need to start Viego to play it. You unlock it as soon as possible. It does seem to be doing really well, and you don't have the opportunity to play it that often. So I think if you haven't played it and you have an early Viego, definitely give it a try. Um, Before you have the legendaries, the line is pretty straightforward. You just play all the Shadow Isle units as you unlock them. You can play Warden to go with Yorick. You're not gonna have Thresh for a while. You're gonna want Quick Striker for your Viego. So I don't know, like maybe you can like pair it with Bilgewater, for example. Just a Fate, not +1. I mean, Gangplank's a Vanquisher also. But before you have Thresh, maybe you have something that looks like this. But then eventually, a lot of the power in this comp is in the Thresh. Once you unlock him, he's really strong. Callista seems to be quite strong as well. I was not aware of that, but it's good to know. And then like late game, of course, like upgrade like your quick striker bot to a better quick striker bot. You know, like your Warden bot. I mean, something better. And yeah, you just slowly upgrade this. This is kind of like this is like your Vanquisher bot, right? So kind of like upgrade this to Fiddle and kind of go from there. You're gonna itemize the Viego early game. He's good with like attack speed and stuff. So attack speed, Omnivamp, and then you can move the later. You can like split up his items among the rest of your team.
Yeah. If you're not playing Viego 3, how much do you value the Kindred Viego Quick Striker combo? Usually I just dropped Viego then and played for Mel or Z or something.
Yeah, you could do that too. I'm not sure. Quick Striker is a really strong two-piece trace, just like 15% attack speed, and Kindred is just a really, really strong unit as well. So I think it's like pretty.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty valuable. But
Okay.
if you have the opportunity to play like a Zero Mel, then that might be better. I mean, there's two legendaries as opposed to like a one cost and a legendary. But Quick Striker is definitely
Yeah.
like one of the strongest two-piece traits in the entire game. In terms of the team wide. But yeah, if you have like something like this, you can just like split it up like I don't know, whatever. You split these down. So honestly, you just move all into Fiddle if you have them. But before you have Fiddle, you can kind of like split them between Gwen and Callista even.
So would you say Kindred and Viego, let's say if you have 2-star Kindred, is better than getting a Piltover buff?
I think if you have 2-star Kindred, you're like pretty much always playing Kindred.
And if
Because
you don't have a 2-star Kindred, then maybe Piltover is better.
I think Quick Striker is better because
Okay.
if we look at the Piltover attack speed module, so let's say we play 2 Piltover, and I'm not saying this is the best one, but like they're all like roughly balanced. So we think about like giving your team 22% attack speed. This is a lot worse than just giving your team 15% attack speed for the entire fight because Piltover was only after 8 seconds. And Kendra's just a better unit, right? Like her um her ability is extremely strong. So I think like 2 Quick Striker, like let's just say for example we had um let's say we already had Disruptor and we already have like 1 out of 2 Piltover. I would think Kindred is stronger than like Seraphine. Like Kindred 1, I would think is stronger than Seraphine. Like Seraphine 2, basically only Piltover. Kindred is basically only Quick Striker, but I think the Quick Striker is more valuable, as well as Kindred's just ability. If we don't have a Azir, then Seraphine also gives us Disruptor, which is pretty valuable. I would think this is like closer. Yeah. But maybe you can just fit both. Okay, anything else about Shadow Isle? Okay. Yeah, this is a comp you can't play that often. Again, you need VO too early, but it does seem to be performing really well.
I will say, comp feels unplayable unless you have specifically Last Whisper on your Kindred. It's like her best item by a mile.
Oh, you need Last Whisper, you said?
I feel like it's her best item, probably.
It's mostly a physical damage comp, so yeah. You can also go even shroud. Either way, I think it's fine, as long as you have
Yeah,
some sort of sunder, because
it's just with how well she scales with it because of being a vanquisher.
yeah. Of or Callista. So we have I'm just gonna pick some random items, doesn't matter that much. So we have something like this. I would think this is like about the same amount of damage and tankiness as like a different damage item here, and then we have like an even shot here. I would think these are like pretty comparable. It shouldn't like really matter basically. Like don't like greed your items too much if you're able to just make this. Like I wouldn't sit on your components to go for Last Whisper. Um, okay. Let's I just made a guide for this, but I can talk about it a bit briefly here. Rosov talked about this a bit the other day as well. But basically what you want to do is you put in 7 bilge water. Ideally you have one of those shop rerolls as well. If you find the expensive bilge water items, you can take out bilge water. The first one costs 100, and even with only 3 in, you get about 30-ish per round. So these items are a little bit stronger than craftables. So you're kind of getting like your first item after just 3 rounds. So that's kind of what is making Misfortune is so strong, that you're almost always getting like 2 free items that go with her. And then later on you can also use the bilge water to get Nautilus 3, which is extremely strong. So this comp has a whole bunch of legendaries, but before then you'll just play 5 bilge water. Like Graves, Senna is your gunslinger. Like you won't have Tom Kench, so you have Alawi. And then you can just play like one more bilge water, who's or Gameplank, I guess, either one. I mean Twisted Fate before you have Misfortune. And then yeah, Bruiser's good, Dragonaut's good, Warden's good. It doesn't have to be like exactly.
I played this comp earlier and I ran into a significant headache where I was trying to find a black market refresh and like I sat on not finding one for like 7 years.
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes you won't be getting the items in your shop, but I mean, it's kind of like the same with any comp, right? Like let's say you want to play let's just say this one for example, because I just picked this because there's no unlockable. It's like let's say you want to play this comp, you might go the entire game and just never find a Yunara, right? So it's kind of like the same thing. You can low roll your bilge water shops the same way you can low roll your regular shops. I think like most of the time you should be able to be getting access to these items. Doubloon is really good if you can get it early. It kind of pays for itself within a stage. Oftentimes you can get it as early as like 3-2. So by like 4-2, it's already paid for itself. And then on stage 5 and 6, it'll help you get stage 4, 5, and 6. It'll help you get these items and the 3. Eventually, you are not going to want the doubloon on your main carry, oftentimes, just because it's worth like half of a real item in terms of stats. Most of the values in the econ. But yeah, you'll just play something like this, and then eventually you'll want to transition to legendaries, which Bilgewater just facilitates because it gives you extra econ. Yeah, I think just like playing around Misfortune is basically like the best for me right now. Wukong is also just a really good tank. Bilgewater naturally has Bruiser with Alawi, and then later Tom Kench, so you can fit Wukong really nicely. Yeah, I just made a guide on this, but I do also want to highlight, like, if we just throw in 2 units that go together. So, for example, we throw in like Garen and Lux, both 4 costs, 4.12 average. We do like Lissandra and Yunara. It's about the same, right? Like 4.1 ish. If we do Misfortune and Wukong, it's you can see it's like quite a big jump. Like 0.2 is like a pretty big gap. So this comp is just doing really well. So correct me if I'm wrong, but from what I understand, the very first time you put in 5 Bilgewater, it gives you a brand new shop. And then the very first time you put in 7 Bilgewater, it gives you a brand new shop. But other than that, those shops will stay. So like you'll want to put in 7 Bilge, and then you'll want to like just basically drop back down to whatever you were playing before. You don't really want to be playing 7 because you're giving up too much combat power for like stage 4. You're giving up like too much combat power. If you're playing like this variation, you can absolutely, if you're very strong and you can win rounds anyway, you absolutely can like greed 7 Bilgewater for like more econ if you're in the spot to do it.
Fairly confident you don't get that refresh, and you need to keep one manual or save the cheap purchases for once you put in the new tier.
Yeah, I've seen people do that as well. Because your Silver Serpent Shop is 4 slots, if you really want to like maximize your chance of getting like the good items, pretty much all the tier 2 items are good, except for there's one AP one. All the rest of them are fine. But if you want to maximize your chance of hitting it, you can like kind of wait to buy like Alawi's or your like tier 1 upgrades before you put it in. So you have like the maximum chances of being able to buy out your shop slots while you have like 7 Bilgewater or 5 Bilgewater in to get what you're looking for. Yeah, just like save like Alawi's and some cheap units to buy. I think it's not that important. I feel like I would rather usually just tempo, and then every time you buy out, you have a chance of seeing a refresh in that slot anyway. But I guess if it's not gonna help you make an econ breakpoint, you might as well like wait to like buy an Alawi and sell it for 1 gold, right? Like there's no reason to rush it. So yeah, I think that's a good tip, I guess. Um, yeah, save your cheap purchases so you can cycle your shop, because you're not gonna have that many opportunities at your 7 build shop. You're not just gonna want to like sit here with all these units on your bench and toggle every single turn for the rest of the game. It's very time consuming and expensive. Okay. Fast 9 is just really good in the meta, so a lot of these at the top have like a lot of legendaries. This is like just because the gap to go from level 8 to level 9 is not that big. Also, just a lot of the legendaries are just really good just by themselves at 1 star, especially Lucian, Fiddle, and Shyvana. Basically have almost like a 2-piece trait just by themselves with their team wides. Kindred's ability is just like that as well. So we're gonna see a lot of these. This is basically just like Piltover plus Freljord are just like pretty reasonable team buffs that have like pretty good synergies. So there's a couple different like Fast 9 packages that yeah, so like Vi, Loris, one like Defender is also a team wide buff. So oftentimes like Piltover, Vi, and then Freljord, like Sejuani, and then like Ashe and Kindred are a pair. So a lot of times you're playing like this package. Then your 2 out 3 Freljord, you have like Braum as your main tank. Yeah, so you can go like something like this. The other common one I'm sure you guys have seen is just like the Nico Vi Wayne. And Disruptor is another team-wide trait buff. So You guys have probably seen like this one as well. And then you'll go like any disruptor, any juggernaut here. Ideally like Shyvana. And then there's 2 5-cost disruptors. One of which could potentially be Noxus Flame. So there's like another like kind of fast 9 package to play around. That gives you a lot of team wides. And it's cheap as well. Nico eventually could be Silas if you're like really high rolling.
You can also run the Swain package with Kindred because you can put in Draven Kindred.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. For just like 3 Noxus if you're already playing 2, pretty valuable to just might as well just like go up to 3. And we already talked about how Quick Striker is really good. Okay, Broseph did a pretty lengthy Fast 9 overview a few days ago, so you can see that in recorded sessions. Otherwise, probably not going to talk too much about like this is just like another Fast 9 board. Like this is pretty much the one I looked at actually, in fact. Let's talk about this. One of the best reroll comps, at least in data, is the best performing reroll comp. I think Bilgewater is just ridiculously strong. The 3-piece is just like ridiculously strong. At worst, it gives you about 30 serpents per round, which is if you're just buying a TF and selling it, it's just like 2 gold per round, which is already not bad. But if you're using it to get like a game plank, for example, on average for a 3-cost reroll, on average you get one every like 6 shops or so. So on average, like each game plank should cost you 15 gold. But because the Bilgewater is basically giving you, it gives you a game plank like every other round ish. So you can almost think of it as giving like 7 gold a round in terms of like the purposes of restarting these. Just 3 Bilgewater. It's pretty crazy. Draven, Twisted Fate just like fits together as well. Draven will also give you gold, so you can like 2-star. You can like 2-star all these units like very quickly, and then use them to like win rounds, and then use that to like 3-star them, and then hopefully continue snowballing off that. Yeah, and Bessa's Vanquisher with Gameplank. Briar and Swain, either one can be Juggernaut with Noxus. Like you probably wouldn't play both of them. If you were 4 Noxus, 3 Juggernaut, you would just play one or the other. Obviously, you're not going to have Swain at the start of the game. And then Briar's like a pretty bad unit. She doesn't do anything. She has triple trait, but doesn't do anything, so later you'll replace her, play Swain instead. Then you have Nihilus 3. A lot of times you're going to want Warden and Juggernaut. And add both these.
Does the
Is this the
Bilgewater
only-
shop
sorry.
consider if you're contested or not?
So the Bilgewater shop, from what I understand, it does take the unit out of the pool, but I wouldn't really worry about it. I think it's like not worth thinking about. But I think these are just the odds you have like every time. I don't know if it considers pool size. So let's say for example, one person has a 3-star Nautilus and no one has any GPs. I don't really know if you're more likely to see GP than Nautilus. I would think it. Yeah, I don't know. But I would think you would not want to play this contested, just because there's not that many 3-costs, and the Bilgewater shop is used to like enhance your hitting these 3 stars. You're still gonna get like most of them from your regular shops. So 3-cost reroll is like the most damaging to play contested. But I think it's actually fine because this comp, even on 2-star, Pivot can transition out very nicely to some of the other boards. So yeah, I think if you were contested, you could see like how many copies you have, how many copies the other person has. But most likely you would probably just like transition out. Like you just move your gameplay items to Ambessa. Maybe eventually we can play like a Kindred here.
Question about this whole like win contested and so on with these Bilgewater units. Do we know if the Bilgewater shop pulls from the unit pool because if it doesn't, or if there's some kind of bypass
It
that.
does.
So yeah, because I could have sworn I've seen multiple like 3-star Nautilus and stuff like that. So
Yeah. Um. Yeah, like I said, I don't know if someone has like a Nautilus 3, if you're more likely to see a game plank than a Nautilus. But I know for sure that if you have a Nautilus in your Bilgewater shop, it counts as like a Nautilus out of the pool.
okay.
I'm not too sure about like. I think I wouldn't think about it too much and just like treat it as like a pretty normal like contest situation.
Okay.
Okay, so we talked about pretty much all the top 5. Talked about Bruiser Bard. This one's pretty straightforward. I think if you've been playing for a while, this comp is pretty popular on PvE, so yeah. You can also use Zoe instead of Aphelios. She's a 3 cost. Obviously we're rolling on level 6 for our most important units here, Bard and Scion. So Aphelios is kind of nice that he's also like a 2 cost that he can 3-star at the same time. But Zoe has a bit more synergies, like mostly magic damage comp. That being said, like you just don't really have any traits, right? So I think Zoe or Aphelios for this last slot makes a lot of sense. You could go for like an Invoker, but I think it's like not that worth it. Yeah, so pretty standard 2 cost reroll. I like solo frontline Scion in this setup, but I'm not really sure what's optimal yet. Just because I find that even if you position like this, I find your Scion is like pretty like last to die pretty frequently, even if you position like this. So yeah, I'm not too sure about it, but eventually you'll get Volibear as like another carry. But you have an AP, you have an AD, and then you have Think. So it's pretty nice comp overall. Pretty straightforward. Between these 2 units, I think Bard is better to itemize. If you can go for 11, allowing Shen 3, because Bard's ability scales with the amount of 3-stars on your board. But if you get bench lock, then I really don't see. But if you can, then it's just like nice to have. If you hit a Scion really early, I've also so you only have like 2-star Bard, and you hit like Scion really early. I've seen people just like push levels and play 6 Bruiser frontline. Zillion is really good with this. You'll have Invoker with this guy. And Zillion is just really strong in long fights. And Annie as well is another unit that's just really strong in long fights. Sorry, what you're saying?
I was just saying, just drop out of Bard.
Yeah, yeah. If like you hit the Scion really fast and you only like, let's say you hit Scion 3 and you only have like 4 bards, I would probably just like try to push levels and like play with Bard 2 and then eventually play around something like this.
You can also, if you don't hit the Aphelios, but you have the Bard and Scion, you can also just push levels and play Yunara instead of Aphelios too, if you've already built Aphelios setups.
Yeah, I think yeah, basically I think if you have like 2 of them 3-star, like Scion's like really important. You need Scion for sure because you can't just have the backliners. But I think if you have like 2 of them 3-star, it's really like inefficient roll for the last one because you already have a good carry and you already have a good tank. But yeah, it doesn't have to be these units exactly. Yunara, obviously, we have 2 out of 3. Ionia here, play her. We could play like Yunara, Kindred even at level 9. Vertical Demacia is performing really well in data. Part of this, I think, is just how easy it is to play, but it's worth talking about. And I mean, I think it's important to be humble. Like, even for myself, I think the fact that this is easy to play actually makes it really good. So Galio, as most of you guys know, goes on your bench. Will give you a +1 trait. And to unlock Galio, you need 12 unique star levels. So unlocking Galio is pretty important. You just need to start up a lot of your Demacia units. But once you get Galio, you can drop one of your weakest units. Oftentimes, this might be like Sona, for example. Might be like Zinjao. Because Galio will give you the +1 Demacia.
Question regarding vertical Demacia or just Demacia in general. I saw in some like rando Discord or something, someone had been trying like basically a reroll version of it. And when I did the little data sifting, it seemed like it could be okay or it possibly is. And I was thinking it was probably something that you would play with like Demacia forever, because that's like a perma-scaling augment stuff. But that said, could you imagine other spots or scenarios for such a thing? And like I think the key for that is that it's playing into how a bunch of 3-star units can still unlock Galio at a low level star levels. And like I said, there's an augment or two that works with it. But like I said, I was wondering if you had seen it or heard about it or thought about it or knew of any other situations where like that could be viable.
Yeah, I've seen it. 3-star Jarvan is actually the best performing 1-cost 3-star. Sona is like not that good.
Okay, but
Are
Jarvan
those?
doesn't that get a little
Yeah, they get
cross?
skewed by.
I was
Dragon
about
Guard.
to say that before you.
Sorry, go ahead. I think I couldn't quite understand.
Oh, Jocelyn just was talking about the exact thing I was saying, that Dragon Guards overlaps. Or like Jarvan 3 is going to be just a case of someone having Dragon Guards a decent number of percentage of the time, not
Oh,
someone
okay, I
playing
see. Yeah,
this comp.
yeah. So I think looking at Sona is like a better. But we can say like Sona compared to the other 1-cost, like does do pretty well, right? Like it does better than Yordles. Doesn't do as well as the Bruiser ones that we were just talking about, or Viego that we've talked about. But it's better than like Jhin. It's better than Piltover. Better than like Kog'Maw. So I think Demacia reroll is like something you could go for, but I mean I also wouldn't say like this is that impressive. Let's see like let me just type in Sona and see if there's like a 3-star Sona version here. I guess
Looks like
there's not one that like shows up. This is like kind of a different comp. But
yeah.
I would say it's like, yeah, it's probably like something you can play. You just have a lot of Demacias, you know, like if you have a lot of like Sonas and stuff, but I wouldn't really be like trying to, like if I had like 4 Sonas, I wouldn't be trying to like Demacia.
So
If I had like
it's like a niche thing.
yeah,
Like
if I had
there's
like
narrow
7 of
spots,
them,
but
I would like consider it, I guess, yeah.
yeah, niche thing for certain spots, but usually
Yeah.
it's not gonna be a.
I wouldn't think of it as like a real reroll comp. Like for example, in set 15, it's like if I had, I don't even remember what's in set 15. For example, if I had like if I had like 4 Kales, then it's like that's a real reroll comp, right? So if I have 4 Kales, I'm like, okay, this is a good spot for Kale reroll. But if I had like 4 Lucians, I'm not thinking I'm like, okay, I want to go for Lucian 3. But if I had like 7 Lucians, I'm like, okay, I might as well just go for Lucian now. So I think like I would treat like Sona more like Lucian in this case.
Yeah. So like I said, there has to be very specific conditions.
But yeah, there's just a really, really straightforward comp. Swain is 2 traits and just a really good unit. You really want Arcnus, Lux is going to be your main carry. I think in my experience, it's pretty hard to get Silas in this comp because you're using like Lux and Garen as like your main carry and tank. But if you're really like high rolling and you're about to do a huge roll down, maybe Garen and Silas. Otherwise, when you get Galio, you have an extra unit slot. Yeah, I'm not really sure what the best thing as your extra slot is, but maybe we can see what meta TFT actually. Although I feel like it's confused by the Galio, but we can see on level 8. Yeah, so we can drop Vayne and play like Invoker, for example. That'll help out our Lux.
If
What
you
do
go
you mean by-
9, can't you do Annie Tibbers?
Yeah, we could do that with 4 Arcanus.
What do you mean by confused by the Galio?
I thought it was because like it shows up here, so I was wondering if it would think Galio is a unit, but it's not. Like it doesn't show up. It doesn't show up here.
I mean, it does show in data. Either they changed it or I was
Yeah, either
mistaken
way, like, it's
before,
like
so.
not confused, right? Because it is 8 units.
Okay,
I thought it would have a Galio here on level 8, but it does not.
I see. Interesting. Thank you.
Right, level 9, yeah. So we can see like there's some other. It doesn't have the anti-tibbers, but that could be something you could play potentially. But yeah, I guess like Invoker is a decent option, and you don't play Vayne. Right.
How often would you full pivot out of Demacia
Sorry.
with this board?
Pivot
How
out.
often would you pivot out completely on 9?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just the same as like any comp, right? Like, ideally, you always like if you could start with this board and then end in like, is there a Silas board? Yeah, like if you could start with that board and then end in like this board, like that's better. But it's just like not always easy. It kind of depends on like how well you're doing relative to the rest of the lobby. So I guess like if you're actually playing this comp, and what percentage of the games would you drop out of Demacia? I'm thinking maybe like 1 in 5, maybe even a little bit less, somewhere around there is my guess. I would think less if you're playing in like a balanced lobby, but I think for most of the people in here at the start of PvE, you're going to have a skill gap on the rest of the lobby. Regardless of like, if you're true, like if you've ever hit masters before, on average you're gonna have a skill gap on the rest of the lobby for like the first few days. But I think like if you're playing in a balanced lobby at like your true elo, probably like 1 in 2 games. Or sorry, like I don't know why I said one. Like 1 in 10. But earlier than that, it's probably a lot more. Just the reason is because there's 3 4 costs. So like you're gonna roll a lot of gold on level 8. So because of that, you're usually not gonna have that much gold. To go 9 on like 5-2. And if you don't have that much gold, then it's like hard to pivot out. Yordles I think is pretty bad at high elo, but this is kind of similar to Demacia where it's very easy to play. So it's performing really well. Normally you are not going to have Vigar. You would have Tristana instead. If you do have Vigar, it's nice. True trait pair with Lulu. But most often you're not going to have Vigar. There's a few ways I've seen people play this. I've seen people go 9, which allows you to get Ziggs. You pair with Teemo, and then you can also maybe play like Senna or something. Get Gunslinger for Tristana. I've also seen people just stay on 8. Once you 3-star everything, you start getting a Fizz every single round, and then you can go for 3-star Fizz as a win condition. The Turtle Grab Bag can also give you Fizz, and then obviously you're just getting a lot of gold in general. So, you can kind of like decide for yourself what to go for, kind of depending on your spot. Like if you're really far ahead, I think maybe going for the 3-star Fizz is a decent idea. If you're like really far behind, that this is like too much of a pipe dream, then just go 9, get the Ziggs, add in the extra unit, might be better.
So I've been playing this a lot and not getting as good of results as I would hope for. And I looked in the stats and it didn't look that good. Have you seen that? Is this like skill issue on my part or
I mean, it's a skill issue in the
uh,
sense that like you're too good at the game, right? Because like I said, in a high elo, this comp is really bad, but like it's good in data because it's really easy to play.
okay. Okay. Well, no, actually, that's the thing. Is in data, it doesn't. I was looking at like 8 Yordles. Doesn't look that good.
I mean, it's really bad in like your level of lobby, I would say.
All right.
But yeah, it's just easy to play. I also think this comp is really fun. This is like my favorite comp in this set. Just because you
I mean,
get
you're
so
not
many
wrong.
rerolls and you 3-star everything.
You're not wrong, which is why I jammed a bunch of games of it on my Smurfs. So no arguments. But yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, this comp is pretty straightforward. Basically, you want to get 6 Yordle as soon as possible, which gives you 2 free rerolls per round. So most of the time your board is going to be these units, and then you're going to roll on 6, try to 3-star everything. Once you're like kind of close to 3-starring a lot of things, you can go 7, and then try like 3-star Kennen and Koboko as well. And then yeah, I think the best variation is going for 3-star Fizz, but like we mentioned earlier, you can just go 9 and play like Zig Senna instead. But I feel like there's not that much value in Zig Senna because you already have these guys 3-starred, and you can only itemize one of them anyway. I guess if you have like a absolute fuck ton of items for some reason, you could do that, but I think like even if you hit 2-star Senna and 2-star Ziggs, which obviously is pretty expensive, I feel like this doesn't make you that much stronger because you already have like star item holders. So I would probably just try 3-star everything and go for Fizz 3. But yeah, this comp is just like not that good. You can definitely try it out. I think it was only played in the Project PvE tournament with like PPC players. I think this comp was only played twice in the entire tournament, which is like quite a lot of games. They obviously just like don't think it's very good. I don't think it's very good either. One thing I will say with Yordles is because it gives you so much econ, and everything is so easy to unlock. Like all 3 of these are unlockables, and like everything else is easy to hit. You can kind of just like 2-star everything, play like this board, and then use it to fast 9. The grab bag gives you about 5 gold per round. 2 free rerolls. It's like 4. So 8 Yordle gives you like almost 10 gold a round. So you can just like play this board in fast 9. And the 4-piece trait will also help you hit like 2 stars to kind of like stabilize through the mid game. And you don't have to save all your rerolls. You could even use like a decent. You can even use a decent bit of your rerolls in the mid game to kind of like 2-star everything. Be like somewhat stable through like stage 4 and 3. You're probably not winning every round in stage 4 with this board, but you'll probably kill some units. And then you can just pivot into any of those other boards we talked about. Yeah. One thing that I've been thinking, I've been telling Mortdog is I think Yordle Spat should be removed from the game because I feel like anytime you get it from like one of these random augments, it's such a low roll. But I'm wondering if you get it on 2-1, you can go Yordle Bard. I don't know if this is good. It's like probably not, but like, I don't know.
I've actually played that before. Like I said, I jammed a ton of games of this comp. It's okay, but like I said, it's okay.
Yeah, I think Yordle Spat should be removed from the game. This is
Well, like the other thing too is Bard still has the fundamental problem of like you need something to like enable getting him, or else you're giga poor the whole game.
yeah.
So like there's situations where it made sense, but like it wasn't like, oh my god, giga broken. It didn't feel to me like that was doing something like really insane.
Yeah. I figured I would mention it. It's just an idea I had, but I've never seen it. So another fast 9 board, quick try Unara. So I have a guide up on this. Pretty straightforward board. You do have to unlock Koboko and Kennen. I think once you kind of like get used to having to do these, if you just do like an Ionia opener, a lot of times you'll get Kennen for free. If you do like a Freljord Invoker opener, a lot of times you'll get Koboko for free. Otherwise, you can do it on neutrals, or very frequently, if you have like this board, you only have to like barely change your board to get like Koboko, or to get either one of these. Yeah. But I like to do the TFT Academy positioning for this board. Just because I think what happens a lot of the times is let's get the failure tower. What happens a lot of times is our opponent's front line will basically like walk here. Your Yunara kind of shoots across and hits like a lot of units. Lissandra's also like a 2-hex AoE unit, so you kind of like want your opponent's like front line to like clump. Yeah, Rise is a really good addition to this board just because there's a lot of Rise traits that like don't do anything. Like Zon Rise, for example, does pretty much nothing. But every single trait here, really high value on Rise. Freljord is chill. Yordle is 10% damage or 12% damage reduction. And then Ionia makes it hit extra units. So, like, yeah, Rise is just really good in this comp. It's unlocked by default if you play all these other units.
Question.
Yeah.
While we're on the subject of like, certain rise traits not doing anything or whichever, do you have any resources or could potentially point us towards resources at some point of like rise spell mod tier list or something to get an idea of like
Hmm.
how good the various ones are,
I don't really
relatively
know anything
speaking?
about that right now, but I would say like Rise right now, based on his numbers, he's not that good as a primary carry. So I would think like the utility ones are the most useful. Like for example,
Hmm.
God, I can't. I'm just screenshot and put in MS Paint.
Yeah, it's good. You don't have to tell us right this second. I just
Yeah, I would just think like the utility ones are pretty good, right? Like
okay.
Bilgewater, this only does damage, so I think this is like pretty bad. Like Demasia's
Okay.
Execute, which like this is a pretty big Execute, so I think this is actually like really good, right?
The
Because your Rise
Demacia
doesn't.
one's actually really good.
Yeah, like your Rise doesn't have to be doing the damage, so you can almost like if your Rise perfectly executes, which is not going to happen. You can almost think of this as like 16% team-wide damage amp in a sense. Of course, he's not
Hmm.
perfectly gonna execute, but still like really good, right? Freljord is
Okay.
chill, that's good. Ishtal, whatever. Noxus hits more units, that's like pretty good. Piltover is purely damage, so like this is not that useful. Shadow Isles is also purely damage, not that good. Streama's knockup and econ. Argon. Argon is heal. I would basically think of this as pretty similar to doing 10% more damage, so pretty bad. Void also is like more damage for the Rise himself, and then Yordle minus damage. So I'd say like Yordle, Demacia, Yordle, and yeah, I need Noxus to make it hit more. But I'd say like Demacia, Yordle, and Shurima are like the top three.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, so like here we have Yordle, which is really nice.
Also Fairlight, which is also really nice.
Wait, sorry, could you say that again? I think I didn't quite hear.
Oh, no, I said you
Fairlight.
also have Fairlight, which is also really nice.
Yeah, definitely. Chilling like Rise can hit targets that oftentimes your other targets won't hit, and it'll chill them, which can reduce their damage. Those also nice to have where you can proc Lysandre's 12% damage amp as well. Yeah, pretty good comp. You will probably like go second and third a lot with it because you'll lose like fast 9 boards, but you like went out stage 4 and like yeah around like third a lot of the times when you play this line. Doing like so this is pretty similar to like Demacia, which like I think a lot of the value of this compared to the Freljord board, like this is a better board, but this one is like so much easier to play. It's actually like really nice because you set one unit in the front on condition like kind of vertical Unira. Vertical Ionia board. Unira is your main carry, so you're always going to want Quick Striker before you have Kindred dash. But yeah, super straightforward board. On and Shen are a true trait pair. Yeah, I feel like I don't have too much to say about this. There's obviously like 5 different types of Ionias. I would say anything except the reroll one you could probably use. In my experience, I found the one that gives like gold per takedown to be the strongest. I guess we don't have Ionia. I mean, I have the one that like PLE made for me. I can pull that up, but I'm not sure how updated it is. Like I know this for sure is 4 XP at 7. But I guess we can like compare the two econ ones and like think about how much damage this gives you. So at level 8, this will give you 52% AD. In my experience, this one gives you a lot more at the gold generation. And I guess this one will give you a little bit more econ, right? Because at like 5 Ionia, you'll get 3 per round, which require 9 unit kills. I think Path of Blaze is always going to be fine if you use Yunara as your main carry. Path of Spirits is nice because it gives HP each time it Ionian costs a stack. It's hard to tell exactly how much AD that'll give, but I'm sure it's like fine. Yeah. This has Ornn. I would think if you get really early Ornn, you can try to print items, but Ornn is only Warden, which is a selfish trait with Zinjal, so I feel like it's not very valuable. I'd rather play like Defender, which is a white trait with Cannon, or you could just play like a good unit. Yeah. I mean, if you hit like, if you can itemize a Senna, you'll have Gunslinger with Jin. Actually, I feel like he shouldn't even be playing Jin. And then maybe you can play like Arcanist. But yeah, lots of like 1 out of 2s that kind of like fit in. Probably not too much to say about that one. Yard, very similar to the ones we talked about before. Simple, easy to play. Ideally, you don't go like 7. One thing to note about 7, if you don't know about it, is tower stun on death, so you do want to frontline the towers if you have 7 Freljord. It makes it a lot easier to do, because a lot of times when you only have 3 Freljord, you want to like hit 3 backliners, but when you have 2 towers, it's pretty easy to like hit your entire board and frontline both of them. Volibear unlock requires 3800 HP, so you can like tech in Bruiser. If you have like Braum 2, like decent items, that should usually do it with 5 Freljord. I don't know exactly how much 5 Freljord Braum 2 has for HP, but it's like quite a lot. You'll need for sure at least like 1 belt item. I don't think you need Warmog specifically. I don't know if like this would be enough. I kind of feel like it isn't, but maybe I think if you had like this, that would probably be enough. My guess. And yeah, you can play Invoker. Koboko's nice. Pair with Volibear if you get him. And then Anivia and Lysandra, of course, are trait pair Invokers. Slayers. Marcel P talked about Slayers a lot. I think this comp is, now that like the set is kind of like getting a little bit more solved, I think this comp is falling off a little bit. There's also been like some nerfs, like Aatrox, Gameplank's like really contested, Twin is like kind of really contested, but yeah, pretty straightforward. Aatrox, you usually want like 2 BTs or like BT plus Hodge to unlock. If you don't have that, you can get 6 Slayer to unlock Aatrox. To do that, you have to unlock Tryndamere, 2 items on Ash to unlock Tryndamere, and then you can get 6 Slayer. But ideally, you just have like 2 Omnivamp items, which can just go on the Aatrox because he has an ability that turns Omnivamp into AD. Your most important unit is going to be Belveth. You really want Quicksilver and Kraken. These 2 items are really important. Your third best item is going to be another Kraken item. Your third best item is going to be another Kraken, but you really can use like any third item. It's fine. Belveth is a 2-range unit. It'll be like pretty. And it's all physical, so you're going to want even shroud. Aatrox does do a little bit of shred or sunder in one of his casts, but it's not super reliable. It's only one of his 3 casts, and it's only 4 seconds. This variation is like 6 Slayer, but oftentimes you could go for Juggernaut instead. I think is like a little bit higher quality units. Really, you could go either one, honestly. But Juggernaut is kind of nice because you can use like the Gameplank Nautilus and like maybe like play Bilgewater somewhere in the mid game to like get a little bit of econ. Arcanist Annie, so another Fast 9 board. This one is kind of not as good as some of the other Fast 9 boards, but it's really simple. Yeah, it's just like a really simple board that you can play. Silas is pretty important on this board. He's a true trade pair with Nico, and he's just the best Arcanist. As y'all probably already know, Silas has a really unusual unlock condition. He'll 2-star Jarvan, Garen, and Lux. So you definitely have to be like pretty rich to just like pivot into this. Tibbers, I don't know that much about Tibbers actually, but I'm told he is like the best tank at 2-star. He just has the same star level as Annie, and you can itemize him. He takes up a unit slot. Yeah, I'm told he's like a really, but I haven't seen too much Tibbers myself. I mean, just reading his abilities, it's really strong. 1-star Tibbers gains 1,000 shield.
Well, another thing too is because Tibbers counts as an Arcanist, and you're often like if you're playing 6 Arcanists, that's not going to be 1,000. That's going to be like 2K
That's true,
or
yeah.
more. Like I was really impressed in the game I read.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, but that's pretty straightforward. He's Store 2 Defender. Swain is a really good Arcanist, so oftentimes you'll just want Juggernaut. Siobhan is like a trait pair. And then like you have some extra slots that you can like play whatever with.
What does like the normal level 8 AP playing into here look like? Like what are you trying to not stabilize at, but like play around in level 8?
I think for like this comp specifically, you're not really trying to like play level 8. This is more like a fast 9 board where you're almost skipping level 8. So I think it'd be pretty rare that you're playing like a level 8 and then pivoting into this. But otherwise, like you could play you could play like the Demacia board we talked about, like Lux is your main carry. You could play like the Freljord board, Lissandra's your main carry. Those I guess those are probably like the main. Those are probably like the main board cost AP carry. I guess you could do Kaisa as well. We'll talk about Kaisa shortly. I just saw her not too far down. But yeah, it'd be one of these units, right? I guess Seraphine's another option.
Right, but in general, you're probably just sticking around whatever you had in stage 3, like a Mouse or a Milio or something.
Yeah, if you're saying specifically for the 6 Arcanist board, I think because you really want Silas, who's just like ridiculously expensive. And you also really want like Annie kind of as your main carry, so you're kind of looking for legendaries. You really want to like spend most of your gold on 9 for this comp specific. Otherwise, like, yeah, yeah. Otherwise, I would think between the AP units, Seraphine's probably like, since she has 2 support traits, I think she's probably like the least drawn as like a main carry. Yeah, we already talked about Lux and Lissandra, and then Kaisa can be played in Void, which Void is not doing that well. I don't even know where it is. It doesn't even show up. Okay, it's all the way down here in B tier. So yeah, I guess like, yeah, Void just doesn't seem to be doing very well. It does seem overly contested though, right? Like if you look at the pick rate for Void, it's way higher than Demacia. Like more than twice as high as Demacia. More than twice as high as Freljord.
I as a Void merchant who is in Platinum currently, I play a lot of Kaisa and I have about a 3.5 average with her. And I think actually playing the 6 Void is questionable at best. You don't want to play the Bel'Veth or the Rek'Sai.
Yeah, actually, if we like, it doesn't seem like there's that many other Kaisa comps, but yeah, ideally it's kind of the same that we already talked about with 7 Demacia and 7 Freljord, and 7 Ionia, where it's like, ideally you want to like drop out some of the cheaper units, or just like some of the units that don't synergize with your board as well. Dogma, of course, is a pair with Kaisa.
Yeah.
Real quickly, I do want to just talk about Kaisa specifically. He has a really unique trait. I think I've never seen this before in any TFT set. Is a different ability depending if her AD or AP is higher. If she's tied, I think she like doesn't switch, so look out for that. AP Kaisa does not use mana, so it's like a little bit counterintuitive. So AP Kaisa is like an attack speed, and the AP version is regarded to be stronger on current patch. AD is like a caster Kaisa. So AD Kaisa is like, like Infinity Edge Blue, kind of like Supreme Cell Kaisa from last set, really similar. And then AP caster. AP Kaisa does not use mana, so it's like Rage Blade plus. Kaisa has a really unique unlock as well. Have to field a long shot with 3 items and be level 8. This is the only unit in the entire game, I think, that has like something similar to this. Yeah, it's a little bit strange. Like if you're playing this line, you had to level to 8 by like 3 items on Kog'Maw, and then next turn you can unlock Kaisen and roll. Rift Herald also have Void active for 8-player combats, so this line's like better. Obviously, if you're playing Void to start with, then you can get these unlocks, but it does seem to like not be performing as well as like Demacia or like Ionia or Freljord. But absolutely can be like an option to play for sure. And then as the same with everything else, like if you play into it in the mid game, you're winning your mid game, you can just pivot out of it into something else. Another thing you can go for with Void is Baron Nashor. Level 10 Void. It is like an alternate win condition as well. Okay, I think that's probably about everything. So there's like Vayne reroll, Vertical Demacia. You just play long shot here. This is like a Shadow Isle variation. We already talked about. Yasuo reroll is another thing that seems to be doing like pretty well. You unlock Yone whenever you hit 3-star Yasuo. Warwick, so this is like similar to the Ionia Freljord comp, except it's Zon plus Freljord. It seems like it's not doing quite as well, but it's a pretty similar comp. Warwick has a important unlock where you need 2-star Vi. So I would say I would only play this comp if I was like already playing around Vi early game, because I think rolling down for a 2-star Vi, fielding it, and then having to unlock Warwick and then roll for 2-star Warwick is like, this is not really like viable. Reroll Bilgewater, yeah. So there's just like vertical Bilgewater, reroll. Bilgewater is just like, if you're really far ahead and you can win rounds with as many Bilgewater in as possible, then it's really good. But oftentimes in like a balanced lobby, you can't really do that unless you're super high rolling. Vertical Noxus, so again, similar to Demacia, Ionia, Freljord, Void that we talked about. Easier to play comp, but not as good as playing Ambessa and just eventually like pivoting out into something like this, right? Like 3 Noxus with Flame Mel and Bessa, you just drop out of all the other play legendaries eventually. Targon. Oh, Targon
Also-
is interesting. Go ahead.
I was gonna say the Noxus board's also harder to hit because it's contested by literally everybody in the game.
Yeah, it's hard to hit Swain. And then you do have to hit 2-star Ambessa to unlock Mel, which can be tough because there's other people trying to play like Ambessa in Fast 9 boards. Okay. I think the last comp I want to talk about is Targon. I am very unfamiliar with this. I haven't seen it that much, but basically to unlock Aurelion Soul, you play all the other Targons, which requires 2-star Leona and Tarek to unlock Diana. You have to unlock Diana first, and then you unlock Aurelion Soul. Aurelion Soul scales with Starforger off of how many Targons you play. So oftentimes you'll just play all of them. It looks like they dropped Aphelios in favor of playing more like combat board strength. Freljord, I guess you get yeah, I guess they play like these in data as supporting units, but because all of your Targons have no trait, you can kind of use like any supporting cast, but I guess it's using this. Aurelion Soul just have a lot of AoE damage. Diana also is kind of like a Supreme Cell Akali, where she like bounces around. So I think having like a frontline single target damage like Sandra is pretty good. I think that's like that makes sense a bit. One important thing with Targon is your Leona has anti-heal, so if you have a strong Leona, you don't need to prioritize anti-heal as much. Zoe also has Shred, so you don't need to build Anti-Heal or Shred. Aurelion Soul.
Do you know how many? Oh, sorry.
Real quick, I just want to say Aurelion Soul permanently stacks based on how often he casts, so that's why you see like this kind of like casting build really popular on Aurelion Soul. Sorry, go ahead.
How many stacks do you think the ASOL needs to have when you decide to drop Aphelios?
I really don't know. I would say out of every single comp, this is the comp I know the least about, unfortunately.
I played it a couple of times recently, and I will say they with the nerfs to the final ability, the black hole, like it's generally like I don't see people hitting that like ever anymore. And I think that was probably the point. But the whole like, oh, I'm gonna stack and then insta win the game is something that's pretty difficult now. Also, I've seriously had more luck just like re-rolling for a 3-star Zoe at 3-star layout now
Yeah.
than playing this comp, honest to effing god. Usually because I'm looking for the Tarek and can't friggin' find it, but whatever.
Yeah. I think the black hole is it's supposed to basically be like a prismatic trait, so it should be like super super rare. But even stacking to get like the 700, for example, is pretty important. But I gotta head out.
Yeah.
Thank you for your input on Targon. I don't know anything about this comp honestly, but yeah, even getting like the like mid levels as quick as possible is pretty important, and then you can always fix your items later on. But I gotta go. I can take like any really quick questions. Okay, yeah, I'll upload this video later, and thanks for coming, everyone. Yeah.
Thank you so
Have a nice day.
much.
Thank you.
We appreciate it.